6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by J. Yogaraj. First headlines. The President says reports on ISIS attack investigations to be submitted to Parliament shortly. Minister of Foreign Employment assures that the Foreign Employment Bureau will provide necessary financial support for the housing project for the migrant workers. The SEP says the water level of the Samanela Reservoir level has now risen to 10% of its total capacity. The Excise Ordinance Act will be amended shortly. The National Dengue Control Unit set aside Friday every week for mosquito control. And G20 laments war in Ukraine but avoids blaming Russia. And those are the headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has decided to appoint a committee to investigate the allegations made by the UK's Channel 4 regarding the Easter Sunday bombings. The committee will be chaired by a retired Supreme Court judge. The President's Media Division says that the government plans to establish a parliamentary select committee to investigate the allegations made by a former Attorney General who claims that there is a mastermind behind the Easter attack. President Wickremesinghe has emphasized that once the two investigations into the Easter attacks are concluded, the reports from the Parliamentary Select Committee and the Presidential Commission on the Easter bomb attack will be presented to the Parliament before any final decisions are made. Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment Manisha Nanekara says that the Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau will provide the necessary financial support for the housing project proposed by the constructed for the migrant workers. The project is implemented by the Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau jointly with National Housing Development Authority. A progress review meeting regarding the cabinet paper to be presented to the cabinet related to the housing project was held recently at the Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau under the chairmanship of Minister Manisha Nanekara and State Minister of Urban Development and Housing Thenuka Vitanagamage. Through the website www.slbfe.lk of the Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau, a survey was conducted regarding the housing needs of the expatriate workers. As a result of the Minister's special attention to the problems identified from the survey, preliminary plans were prepared to implement this housing project. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Excelsior. Live the life you want.
The Ceylon Electricity Board CEB says the water level of Samanela Reservoir level has now risen to 10% of the total capacity. The CEB said due to the rise in the water level of the Samanela Reservoir with the rains, obstacles have also arisen to seal off the leakage points. Recently, the dry weather, the water level in the reservoir dropped to 0.9%. During that time, electrical engineers found 9 leaks in the reservoir. CEB engineers said although a project to repair the leakage points had commenced, it has been hampered by the rising water level. However, the power generation has risen to 31% with the rains and increased water levels. The CEB said that 19% of the daily electricity generation is now generated by hydropower. CEB engineers also said that water levels of the Mausakele Reservoir has also risen and it will help to produce more hydropower as the Mausakele Reservoir provides water for 4 other reservoirs. The Excise Ordinance Act will be amended shortly. State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siambalapitiya says immediate measures are set to be taken pertaining to the amendment of the Act. He said that the existing legislation is now severely outdated and it has many discrepancies within its provisions. He said the Excise Ordinance Act is one of the oldest ordinances in the country and it is over 100 years. The legislation has been constantly updated with over 1,000 new announcements made to suit the relevant time. The State Minister noted that the amendments to the Act will be submitted promptly, emphasizing that the Act fails to cover several key matters as it has many loopholes within its provisions. The National Dengue Control Unit says that it has been advised to set aside Friday every week for mosquito control. Director of the National Dengue Control Unit, Dr. Nalin Ariyaratne, says that committees will be appointed at the school level and this mandate will be implemented shortly. He said the number of dengue cases that have been reported in the country during the year stands at 62,711. He added 30,500 patients were reported from Western Province and it was the highest number of cases so far, he added. And that's local news.
People's Bank Excelsior, a comprehensive banking services package with a branded checkbook as well as debit and credit card exclusively for you. People's Bank Excelsior, for professionals who dare to dream.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says the reports pertaining to the two investigations into the Easter Sunday attack in 2019 will be presented to the Parliament before any final decisions are made. The President's Media Division reported upon completion of these two investigations into the series of bombings, the reports from the Parliamentary Select Committee and the Presidential Commission of Inquiry will be presented to Parliament before any final decisions are made. And that came to you in Top News.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
In Washlight, Commissioner General of Examinations Amit Jayasundara says every private candidate should provide his own permanent address and telephone number when reapplying for GC Advanced Level Examination. He said they should not provide the address or number of the private or international school where they were receiving education. He added, reapplying for GC Advanced Level Examination will take place from September 11 till September 16. Reapplying for the examination is permitted only for candidates who appeared for at least one subject of the GC Advanced Level in 2022. And that was Watchlight.
World News, brought to you by courtesy of...
It's the power to live life your way. The power to be a trendsetter. Power to you with digital banking from Commercial Bank. Commercial Bank. Our interest is in you.
First headlines, a G20 layman's war in Ukraine but avoids blaming Russia. Hong Kong and southern China battle widespread flooding from record rains. Heat wave continues but thunderstorm warning for many areas in UK weather. And those are the headlines. The G20 summit in India has agreed on a joint declaration including a statement in Ukraine. On the first of their two-day meeting, G20 leaders denounced the use of territorial gain but stopped short of directly criticizing Russia. The Ukrainian government said the statement was nothing to be proud of. The summit in Delhi also discussed a number of global issues, including climate change and the debt burden of developing countries. But it was a day of unexpectedly big headlines at the G20 summit. Few expected a joint declaration, not least on the first day of the summit, given the sharp divisions in the group over the war in Ukraine. On Friday, streets and subway stations were underwater in Hong Kong as officials shut schools and workplaces. Emergency services said more than 100 people had been taken to hospital and several rescues had taken place, with a black weather warning issued. Pictures show the rain turning streets into raging dry rivers, flooding shopping centers and public transport. On social media, people were seen climbing onto cars and other elevated platforms to escape the waters. Sunday is said to be the seventh day in a row that temperatures exceed 30 centigrade as the unprecedented September heat wave goes on. It comes as Saturday was provisionally named the hottest day of the year so far, with 32.7 centigrade recorded in Heathrow. But the heat will largely be centered on southern England, with many parts of the UK soon facing thundery downpours. A yellow Met Office weather warning for thunder showers is in place from 1400 BST to 23:59 on Sunday. The alert applies to most of the Northern Ireland, parts of the Northern England and Wales, and southern Scotland, up to 50 millimeters of rain could fall in under 2 hours, and large hail and lightning are likely additional hazards. And that's world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
This message is for all the kids between the ages of 4 and 16 who love to draw. Commercial Bank's Arunalu Sittam is back once again. This time, the competition is also open to Sri Lankan kids currently living abroad. First, second and third place prizes will be awarded along with special merit and merit certificates. For more information, visit the Commercial Bank website. We have so many prizes to be won.
In development news, small paddy millers will be able to get a loan for 16% from the Bank of Ceylon and People's Bank from September 1st to buy paddy during the current Yala season. The Finance Ministry said the two state banks will give 4,000 million rupees of loans at 16%. At the rate of 16%, and the government will give a 4% interest subsidy. He said mill owners with a daily milling capacity of 25 tons or less could get up to 50 million rupees through a pledged loan. The loan will have to be repaid in 180 days. And that was development news. In sports, Pakistan skipper Babar Azam won the toss and elected to bowl against India in a blockbuster Super 4 clash in the Asia Cup being played at Har Premdasa International Cricket Stadium in Colombo. The threat of rain looms large over the 50-over contest, a prelude to their big clash in the upcoming World Cup in India, but sunny weather greeted the two captains in the middle of the beginning of the match. Pakistan named an unchanged team from their win over Bangladesh in the Super 4 opener in Lahore. Fowler Jasprit Bumrah returns to the Indian 11 after he missed the team's previous match to be home for the birth of his first child. Short while ago, before the rain interrupted the match, India were 147 for 2 in 24 overs.
Go ekakthiyana youth කට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීත හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The government has issued a 538 soft alcohol license under regulations started in 2022 to support the tourism sector. State Minister for Finance Ranjit Singh Malapitiya said in Parliament that it was issued under a gazette notification in 2022 on a request by the tourism industry to promote tourism. The government began issuing soft liquor licenses thereafter. He added 538 soft liquor licenses were issued and anyone with a tourist permit was able to apply for this license for their restaurant. Accordingly, to a World Health Organization report, since 2004, Sri Lanka's illegal alcohol sales have gone up by 500% compared to 50% legal sales, he added. And that was Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekakthiyana youth කට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීත හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, Sri Lanka Ports Authority is overstaffed by 914 workers, a parliamentary committee on public enterprises has been told. A statement from the Parliament on a recent session on the Committee on Public Enterprises said overtime had also been paid for the staff. It is reported successive ministers had used the port to fill people with supporters from their respective electorates in the past. Sri Lanka Ports Authority had spent 1.2 billion rupees on food. Food from the port has in the past been found on sale in the surroundings in the past. Meanwhile, 498 million rupees has been spent on snacks.
Weather report.
The Met Department says showers or thundershowers will occur at times in western, Sabaragamu, southern and northwestern provinces and in Kandy and Nuwara area districts. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters are likely at some places in western and Sabaragamu provinces and in Puttalam, Gaul and Matara districts. A few showers may occur in Mana, Vavuniya and Anuradhapura districts. And that was the weather report. To wind up this news podcast, let's look at the main points once again. The President says reports on Easter Sunday attack investigations to be submitted to Parliament shortly. Minister of Foreign Employment assures that the Foreign Employment Bureau will provide the necessary financial support for the housing project for the migrant workers. The CEB says the water level of Samanala Reservoir level has now risen to 10% of its total capacity. The Excise Ordinance Act will be amended shortly. The National Dengue Control Unit set aside Friday every week for mosquito control. G20 laments war in Ukraine but avoids blaming Russia. And with that, we conclude this evening news podcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. It's back to Ramesh Piris to keep you company with the rest of the programs this Sunday evening.